From the crossroads of the Ozarks, it's PID Radio. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert, and we're so glad you've chosen to join us. And we're in the barn, of course, thanks to you.
Yes, thank you for making this project a reality. Build Barn Better. We are working out here. Still got some finishing touches, things on the walls and what have you, but it is now a functional, productive space, and we are really, really thankful for that.
We really are. And many of you have continued to help out, and we so appreciate that because, as you might well guess, our expenses have gone up ever so slightly month by month because electric and all of those things. No, Grace, you're not going. But you guys the Lord provides.
Amen.
The
Amen.
Lord provides.
So, and this is really a cost-effective way of doing what we do. We are aware that there is and by the way, the reference to Grace. Grace, the rescue dog, is out here in the barn with us today. And
she normally is really quiet.
Yeah, but she got all revved up because the neighbor dogs from a quarter mile up the road were out checking out the stuff that we tossed out from the compost bucket. And so when they sensed her coming out, they took off running, and she would like to be their friend, apparently.
She really would. So
anyway.
I think she's lonely, so we're talking about getting her a friend. But yes, the Build Barn Better. It
is a really cost-effective way of trying to do what we do, because we're aware that the business model for Christian media traditionally has been to buy time on television or radio stations or both, and that can be really, really expensive. But through the app, which, again, your contributions help defer the cost, for a single month of being able to put out through our app, which also powers Roku, Apple TV, and soon Amazon Fire TV and Google TV.
Ooh.
The developers at Subsplash are putting that together as well, and they're not going to charge us any additional
That's really
for
amazing.
having those apps out there. So the cost for this on a monthly basis is less than the cost of buying a 30-minute time slot on a local radio station.
Yeah.
Not much less television.
The Lord is providing. He truly is, and He allows what we have to say. And we pray that it is edifying in most cases.
Right.
When it's not, that's on us. When it actually has value and merit, that's the Lord's voice speaking through us. But He's reached all over the world because of you.
Yes, and so we thank you for that. We always want you to know that we truly appreciate this and don't take any of this for granted.
We never do.
I'll tell you, 10 years ago, looking ahead, because it was about 10 years ago that, as you remember, I was getting very frustrated in my career in outside sales. And it wasn't because we were treated badly. The income was very good.
Really good.
Had really, really a great health insurance plan.
Mm-hmm.
And but it just didn't feel like what I was supposed to be doing. And so through conversations with men like Tom Horn, Bob Ulrich at Prophecy Watchers, and others, L.A. Marzulli, we prayed, and the Lord answered. And Tom Horn opening the door to us to come here to the Ozarks.
What
Our
a
lives
blessing.
have been completely transformed in the last 10 years.
They have. They really haven't. And it's been such a blessing to have been around Tom Horn for all these years, because we learned a lot from him. Yes,
not just in terms of his theological research, but also in terms of how to get the message out there in cost-effective ways. Yeah. You look at for example, you look at Skywatch TV, and you look at the very professional television studio that's been constructed there. He literally did that for pennies on the dollar.
He truly did, he did it for cash.
Yes, did not go into debt. And so we, again, coming back to our thanks to you for making this possible. We have not gone into debt to turn this space into usable space. Now, obviously, there are some compromises we made. When you listen carefully, on a rainy day, you can hear the rain on the roof in the background. It's not soundproof.
No, we did. We left the sort of ceiling space uncovered. We didn't bring down the ceiling or anything. But I think that's a good idea, because in the future, you never know. We live in the country.
Yeah.
And there may come a day when we will be turning this property over to somebody else, and they don't want to use it the way we've used it.
Right. So anyway, again, thank you. And we are truly appreciative. Please take a moment, if you haven't already downloaded the app, whether it's for iOS, Android, Amazon, Kindle Fire. We've got apps for all of those. Links to their app stores at gilberthouse.org/app or pidradio.com/app.
Amen. One of the things we could have done with this space would have been nice to do, would have been to put in a bathroom. But in order to do that, we probably would have had to have dug a new well.
A new well and a new septic system, right. And in this soil, that would have taken a lot of money. Again, looking at best use of the resources with which we have been blessed through your generosity, it's just more sensible for me to just walk back to the house.
It would have cost us another $50,000.
Probably.
It easily would cost $50,000 to have put in a bathroom. So yeah, we could put in an outhouse.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
There is that.
I grew up with one of those.
Yeah. Well,
but what's in the news today?
A lot to talk about this weekend, both internationally and nationally. Let's start with the national stuff, because I know that politically this is something a lot of people, especially in the South, are looking at.
I realize that. I do realize that, and I apologize for jumping in, but here's my thing. As important as these events are, it's a slow invasion from the South. Right. I get that.
Right.
There are a lot of countries that have been dealing with slow invasions. For a lot of countries for a long time.
Right.
To concentrate, and I know that there are folks that's all they think about. All they think about are the geopolitics going on. I like to look at the theopolitics behind all of this.
Well, yes. And to that end, I did a program with Gilbert on A View from the Bunker a couple of years ago on the gods being brought into the country by the people who are coming here. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something that is worth paying attention to, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit. The bottom line here is, in the United States, if you're outside the U.S., you may not be seeing this in the news so much, but here in the U.S., there's a legal standoff between the federal government and the state of Texas, where Governor Greg Abbott has taken control of one park. It's a 47-acre park called I forgot the name of the park. Anyway, it's in Eagle Pass, Texas, which is a border city. It's on the Rio Grande. And this park has been used as a convenient crossing point for illegal migrants, because they walk across, they're in a park, and Customs and Border Protection would meet them, would take their names, give them a slip of paper telling them to appear for their asylum hearing 3 years down the road or something, and then let them go. The state of Texas finally said, we've had enough. There's by some estimates, as many as 5 million have crossed over into Texas since Joe Biden took office. Something like 9 to 11 million across the entire southern border since Joe Biden took office.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So the state of Texas basically kicked out Customs and Border Protection, took it over with the Texas National Guard and Texas
Shelby Park.
Shelby Park. Should have record. Yeah, Isaac Shelby.
Yeah,
and there's a Shelbyville in every state east of the Mississippi.
Yep.
Anyway, the state of Texas now controls the park and has barred Customs and Border Protection. So CBP, I think the guys on the ground sympathize with the state of Texas. They would like to do their jobs. The federal government has basically turned them into a welcome wagon for people crossing the border. The federal government sued. The Supreme Court ruled 5-4 in favor of the federal government, allowing, in a kind of narrow ruling, allowing Border Protection to go in and cut the razor wire that the state of Texas put up. The state of Texas is refusing still to allow them in. And reminds me of Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson 200 years ago, who lost a case before the Supreme Court. And he said, it was the chief executive officer whose job it was to execute the laws of the land. He basically said, okay, Supreme Court's made the ruling. Now let's see them enforce it. That's kind of where Texas is at right now.
If you are not familiar with the 10th Amendment, you need to read it, because I think we're coming up on a 10th Amendment challenge. That's states' rights. Yeah.
The way the Constitution, and this gets to a bigger issue in the United States, but a lot of the political fighting between conservatives and liberals in the United States is over federal powers that the federal government shouldn't even have. The federal government here in the United States, if it was truly constrained by the Constitution the way it should be, would not be allowed to do a lot of what it does. There's no constitutional basis for example, the federal income tax, the Department of Education, Department of Energy, Department of Homeland Security. A lot of things the federal government does. It's the Social Security system, Medicare. All of these things are not powers that are allotted to the federal government. And according to the Constitution, if it's not specifically allotted to the federal government, it's reserved to the states. But that's not how most of us think.
That's true. That is so true. Now, the text of the 10th Amendment makes clear that any powers that are not specifically given to the federal government
Mm-hmm.
are reserved to those respective states.
Mm-hmm.
The original text says, quote, "The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people." Problem there is
Right.
that's all wiggle room language. It's very ambiguous.
Well, yeah.
When you say powers not delegated to, the power grab says they are delegated to us.
Yeah, and that's how lawyers will justify it and how they have justified it since, well...
Since the very beginning.
Since the very beginning, yeah. It really escalated during the American Civil War.
Mhm.
Lincoln, considered one of our greatest presidents, but he violated the Constitution all over the place. But even going back to John Adams and the, what was that? There was an act that was passed in the early 19th century for people who were believed to be plotting against the government. It's a word
Insurrection Act?
It starts with an A, and I can't remember what the word is off the top of my head. But anyway.
Sedition Act?
Sedition Act. Alien and Sedition Act, yes. That would seem to be pretty clear. If the Constitution doesn't give the federal government power to do it, the states have that power. That seems to be clear. But again, that's not how the federal government operates. And the what's called the Overton window, which is the range of acceptable policy options,
Mm-hmm.
has shifted over time to where we no longer even think in terms of, hey, the federal government doesn't have the power to do this, so we're not going to let them do it.
Yes, but who defines acceptable?
Well, it's public opinion, and which is shaped by media.
But public opinion is split down the middle.
In this case, yeah, it is. What's interesting about this standoff in Texas is that Governor Abbott has, and I kind of criticized this because he's been sending busloads of migrants to cities where, these migrants say they want to go. Hey, you want to go to New York? Yeah, okay, we'll put you on a bus. We'll send you to New York. Want to go to Chicago? Yeah, okay.
And they're just dumped.
And they're dumped, and those cities are now screaming because it's one thing to say you're a sanctuary city when you're not actually dealing with hundreds of thousands of migrants being dropped off in your front yard. Now, in Chicago, you've got neighborhood groups who are complaining, hey, why is the city spending tens of millions of dollars taking care of these people who shouldn't even be here when our neighborhoods deteriorate?
They wouldn't be there in the first place if you would close the border.
Well, exactly. So you got Governor Pritzker of Illinois last weekend who blamed Republican governors like DeSantis and Abbott for the problem. You've got Mayor Adams in New York City going to Washington, D.C. to beg for more money. There's there's a national organization of mayors who issued a public letter to the federal government basically saying, we're happy to continue being sanctuary cities if you send us more money. Yeah, just send us more money.
Well, the problem there is the federal government has been sending money all along.
Right.
That's why they would name themselves a sanctuary city to get the money. But as soon as someone comes in and needs sanctuary, that's different.
Yeah. So in New York, they had a case a couple of weeks ago where kids were, there was a pretty bad winter storm that came through, and they kicked kids out of school for a few days so they could move migrants from a camp in a park into the school and house them indoors for a few days. Kids had to go back to distance learning. Hey, it's COVID all over again.
They're at airports.
They're sleeping at Logan Airport in Boston, O'Hare Airport in Chicago. They've got screens up so you don't necessarily see them when you come through, but why are they sleeping in the airports?
Right.
Why? Well, again, anywhere from 9 to 11 million who've been released into the country, and that doesn't count the known gotaways, and it doesn't count the unknown, because we don't know how many unknown who came into the country without being caught.
Every city has empty office buildings.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of flight away from the cities.
Right.
So why don't they put them there?
That's a good question. Hey, use that empty office space, turn it into something useful.
Well, the owner of the empty building will go, no, they'll ruin my building.
Well,
now that's a prejudicial statement.
Yeah. How dare you be so judgmental?
Yeah.
Well,
about half the country is with Abbott.
I agree. 25 other governors have backed Governor Abbott of Texas, including our governor here in Missouri, Governor Mike Parson. But basically all Republican governors have issued statements of support. And so far, as of the last time I checked, something like 10 other states have sent National Guard troops to Texas to help out with this. Now, the government's response, federal government gave Abbott a deadline Friday to comply with this order and allow Customs and Border Protection in, or I guess maybe it was Thursday, because Abbott says we're not going to back down. We're not doing it.
I think it was Thursday.
And then on Friday, the White House announced a new ban on liquefied natural gas exports, which disproportionately affects the state of Texas. In a sense, the federal government has now just issued economic sanctions against Texas. And our allies in Europe who are facing in the middle of a cold winter because of the destruction of the
Russia doesn't want to send them any, and the pipelines.
Well, can't because the pipelines.
I know, but there are other ways.
Russia's sanctioned.
They don't have to go through the Nord Stream.
Well, that's true. Yeah, and they are getting Russian.
Yeah,
they sell it to India, and India sells it to Europe.
There are other ways to do that, but the problem with that is Texas is, if they chose to be, the Republic of Texas could be its own country because they have refineries and big ports. They have oil wells.
Yep.
They have farms.
Yep.
They have cattle. They have water.
Yes. So this is going to be an interesting year. I mean, 2024 has already proven to be an interesting year, and we're not even out of January yet.
No. Now, let's get to the actual spiritual side of these things. It's really easy to get all upset because of the geopolitics.
Right.
Don't get upset because of that.
Yeah. What's going on?
These are humans who are making foolish decisions that, yes, they affect your life, but behind those foolish human decisions are puppet masters that are spirits.
We wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Exactly.
Yeah. So who are the principalities and powers behind the scenes?
Yeah.
This may be, when you look at the scope of history, and again, stepping back and just looking at the natural realm, but maybe, again, this is the natural order of things or the course of history because of the way the spirit realm interacts with the natural realm. Wealthy, prosperous, powerful nations generally have a 200 to 300 year lifespan, and we're nearing the end of the use-by date here in the United States. That's not trying to be downbeat or alarmist or anything like that. It's just, when you look at history, this is just the way it goes. There's some sort of fundamental transformation that is going to take place, whether it's we transform into a dictatorship or we split into separate, independent entities.
Isn't it interesting that we are about to come up on, in 2026, our 250th anniversary?
Yeah.
2026 is going to be a very, I think, prophetically interesting year. Could be a very prophetically dangerous year because it is part of the 2025, end of 2025. It's the Jewish year
57, 70 something.
85, 57, 57, 75.
Let's see. Current Hebrew year is 5784.
Okay, I was right in the first place. 5784.
Yeah.
So, excuse me for not being able to remember, but I'm old. 5785 that Tom Horn has been talking about, Ken Johnson has been talking about, Josh Peck has been talking about, because the Essenes wrote about it.
Yeah, they see this as the beginning of the final 50-year Jubilee cycle.
Yeah. Which means that a lot of really prophetically important events could commence this year.
Imminently. Yeah.
So beginning in the year 2025, 2026, somewhere in there. The spring of 2025, spring of 2029 is when Apophis is supposed to make the first close flyby.
Yes.
3.5 years prior to that is the fall of 2025, which is next year.
Right.
And it's the year 5770.
5785.
85, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll come in again. No, I won't re-say that. I think many of our listeners understand that I'm not the youngest chicken in the coop, but I do my best. And a lot of times I can't remember things as well as I used to, but, you know.
You're still the smartest person I know, sweetheart.
Grace says, I don't know about that.
Well, she's settled down at least. Well, while that is going on, we've got some news out of Israel and the Middle East. I talked with Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis earlier this week. A couple of things. You've got the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. There are intelligence estimates out now that Hamas has lost maybe a third of its fighting force. But given that it's taken 3.5 months to take down a third of Hamas's fighters, this suggests that this conflict may last for the better part of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, that will affect our tour in November, which we'll talk about after the break. But while that's going on, you've got Hezbollah, which is still, raising its head every now and again. Israel just hit an airfield that Hezbollah was using to launch drones in southern Lebanon. And Yemen, one of the most impoverished nations on earth, has essentially shut down access to the Red Sea and thus the Suez Canal.
Mm-hmm.
This affects trillions of dollars of trade annually.
Mm-hmm.
And the United States Navy, sadly, has been shown relatively impotent when it comes to dealing with this. We've been hitting sites in Yemen for a couple of weeks now, trying to take out their missile launching capabilities. And there was a British tanker that was hit,
mm-hmm.
transporting naphtha, and it is on fire.
Naphtha burns a long time.
It does. This was the Marlin Luanda. It was hit in the Gulf of Aden before it even got through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait into the Red Sea. And there was a report that U.S. Navy escorting a couple of U.S.-owned and flagged container ships through the strait came under missile fire and turned around. Now, the ships weren't hit, thankfully, but the destroyer was one of our Aegis destroyers, which should have been able to handle, this is the claim anyway, these Aegis destroyers should have been able to take down the missiles that were fired, and they didn't. The one of them at least got through. It missed by about 100 yards, but that's still pretty close. These one of the ships was the Detroit, the other one the Chesapeake, both owned by Maersk, which is the big shipping company out of Norway.
I thought Maersk wasn't going to send their ships through there anymore.
Well, that was
that's what they said about a week ago.
That's what they said about a week ago, yeah. But they tried to run the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. They were accompanied by the USS Gravely, and the defensive umbrella of the Aegis destroyer, which should have turned this into an easy job, did not stop the ballistic missiles. At least one of them got through the interceptors, and so the container ships turned back around, and they are now going to go around the Cape of Good Hope, the southern tip of Africa. And this is really driving up the cost of shipping.
Oh, yeah.
And
you can't
adds a couple of
ship
weeks.
nearly as many things because they have a long journey to make.
What's really interesting is that the Houthis, which is a tribal designation, you wonder where that name comes from. It's a tribe. They control about 80% of the population in Yemen right now. They are the de facto government.
They run exactly.
Right.
So when people are saying, no, it's not Yemen. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because the official government is government in exile. Yeah. Government in the desert. They are allowing not just all ships owned and connected to Russia and China. They've now announced that they're going to allow Saudi tankers to go through. Like, wait, what? Because the Saudis and the Houthis have been fighting for a long time. It was a proxy war between the Sunni Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Shia Republic of Iran.
Yes, and the U.S., I think, just agreed to sell some jets to Saudi Arabia.
I think you're right about that, but
No, my point there is that we are arming Saudi Arabia in this war. Do you think Iran is going to look at that news and go, oh, fine by us?
Yeah, but what's really weird about this, and this is one of the things I talked to Bob McGinnis about, and also Dr. Timothy Furnish for tomorrow night's View from the Bunker, because you've got the great Sunni power on the one hand, Saudi Arabia, and the great Shia power on the other, Iran, who have been enemies because of the Sunni-Shia split for about 1,200 years. But both of them were admitted on January 1st into BRICS.
Mm-hmm.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, now including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the UAE, and Iran.
The enemy of my enemy.
Enemy of my enemy. But who's the enemy of the enemy? Because the Iranians are backing the proxies that are attacking Israel, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis in Yemen. The Saudis are, well, they would like to, restore relations with Israel because Israel's got a really robust high-tech industry that the Saudis would like to take advantage of, but they can't do it publicly because most of the Saudi public hates Israel.
Yeah.
So the Shias in Yemen are saying, okay, we'll let the Saudi tankers go through. What kind of a deal was reached there? And again, getting back into the spirit realm aspect of all this, how do these principalities and powers line up there? And has the United States essentially been neutered in this whole struggle?
Well, two things. One, I think that the symbol of the United States right now truly is not exactly robust.
Mm-hmm.
Biden. But I was wrong. It is not the U.S. that is going to send planes. It's the U.K.
Oh, the UK, the typhoons. Right. Okay, I did see that.
Yeah.
Now,
but the U.S. just sold planes, or just agreed to sell planes to Turkey and to Greece. They are enemies. They both squabble over parts of Cyprus. But Erdogan, just a few days ago, said, okay, Sweden can be part of NATO. Fine with me. I'll sign the document.
Mm-hmm.
He's been angling to get those planes from the U.S. for a long time. And finally, I think that was part of the sweet, sweet deal.
Right. So Sweden will be allowed into NATO. Which and that makes you wonder too what Erdogan and Putin worked out behind the scenes, because Putin did not want Sweden or any of the Nordic nations to be part of
because
NATO.
They're very, very close.
Right.
They share land masses practically.
Right. So Turkey was holding up Sweden's application. Did the Swedes agree to turn over some of the guys that the Turks claim are terrorists that are being harbored in Sweden? I don't know. But certainly getting the F-16 deal probably contributed to Turkey's decision to allow Sweden into NATO.
Okay, before we go to the break, overall, we sum up. Overall, we're seeing people groups shifting throughout the world through immigration, call it legal, illegal. People are moving. Spirits are moving with them.
Yep.
We also see wars and rumors of wars. We see armaments going from this nation to that nation. We see the lining up of factions. In some cases, it seems to be an uneasy faction, but still, okay, I'll work with you to go against this enemy that we have in common. Spiritually speaking, we're watching Inanna build her worldwide kingdom through a lot of various means, through climate change, through warfare, through health care.
Yep.
And I do mean that, through health care. In case you think I'm crazy, no, it's through health care. Put health care in quotes.
In air quotes, yeah.
And through a lot of other means, and even religiously. And how do you do that? You force agreement amongst religious factions by presenting them with a common enemy. And I say this on today being International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Anti-Semitism is really just hockey stick measurement on the rise. And I think we're seeing that because Inanna wants to cause that. Remember, the Lord said that Jerusalem would become a stumbling
block,
but also a trembling cup of trembling. The actual word there is threshing floor or threshold.
Yeah.
Well, they are related. This idea of judgment, you pass from one place to the other. That's what you do on the threshing floor.
Boundary, liminal zone.
Liminal boundary,
Yeah.
exactly. Jerusalem is, spiritually speaking, becoming a liminal boundary for the entire world. And if they're either in or out.
Mm-hmm. You're
And
with
most
us
of
or
the
you're
world
against us.
wants to be against them. They want to be out.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And I think that's, we can talk a little bit more about that too, because I think Molech is part of that as well. Molech and Inanna.
Mm-hmm.
And even here in the United States, the division between the states, I think, is being divided along those lines. That and more. Also, yes, the gross domestic product in the United States surged in the fourth quarter of last year, but the numbers don't tell the whole story.
Ooh,
Yes.
more after the break.
Sharon and I really appreciate your support, and that's why every single month we want to make a special offer available to you at the Gilbert House store. And now that we're into the holidays, we're offering extra specials.
We really are. You know, last year we had some holiday specials that people just really enjoyed getting. Lots and lots of you went and ordered there, and we thank you for that. We're doing the same thing this year. Lots of great deals, including Red Wing Saga specials, Derek's book specials, and blowout prices on all of our DVDs.
Yes, but if you prefer streaming video, so you get instant access in full HD.
And no shipping.
And no shipping, right. We've got special discounts available now at our online streaming site, gilberthouse.org/video. That includes even our full-length travelogumentaries, our Wars of the Gods Volume 1 and Volume 2, now at a special discounted price through the end of January.
That is such a deal. And by the way, those of you who have loved Vicki Joy Anderson's book, They Only Come Out at Night, that book is also on special December and January.
We want to make this information available to you. We understand that around the holidays, finances get a little tight, so we're offering special pricing on just about everything in our online store. We're all in the middle of a battlefield.
We are.
And we all need good information. Please take advantage of our special offers, gilberthouse.org/video and gilberthouse.org/store. And thank you for your prayers and support.
Amen.
Welcome back to PID Radio. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert. You know, Grace is really bored.
She is. She's
Just
sleeping on the floor
sleep
right
through
next
this.
to us. Yes.
She's so sweet.
Yep. Yeah, she's realized now, so they're not going to let me out to go play.
Yeah,
So-
I know. A couple of announcements
Yep.
before we go on into what you teased. One is that we are still going to Israel. I know that you might be looking at the news and thinking, I don't know about that. But we are. We do still plan to go to Israel. Currently, our tour is scheduled for November, but I can almost guarantee that we're going to change that date.
Given the
election and
given
what's
the
going
election
on.
and what's going on in Israel, both of those things will probably contribute to a final decision coming soon to
Yeah,
back
very,
things
very
up.
soon. If we change it, probably it will become part of the Iron and Myth Tour.
Yes, which we have dates for already. March and April of 2025. Doug Van Dorn, Judd Burton. We'll see if Tim Alberino can accompany us on the new dates, but that will all be at gilbertsinisrael.com. That website will be up to date. Gilbertsinisrael.com. You can also check the calendar section of our app or our website, gilberthouse.org. We got a calendar there of upcoming events, and as soon as we make a decision, we will change all of that.
We will.
There's
Second
also-
announcement.
Yes.
Before I forget it, because I guarantee it'll go slap out of my head. The second announcement that I teased just a second ago has to do with the book 9 of the Red Wing Saga. Many of you, and I'm so grateful for you, are loving the Red Wing Saga. Thank you very much for your encouragement to me. And you've asked many, many, many of you, when is book 9 coming out? It originally planned for it to come out in December of last year. Had to delay that because we found out about that same time, as I was really getting close to about 85% into the manuscript, that Defender wants our manuscript done for the Gates of Hell by March 15.
Yep.
We thought we had probably all of this year. Nope, March 15.
Yep.
So we have put everything else on the side. We're only concentrating on that now, as well as the daily things to do. We do, but we have the cover. The cover
Yes.
art, which
Oh.
is very inspiring. Jeffrey Martis is a genius.
He is, absolutely. So that's the update on the written projects. The other thing I wanted to talk about regarding Israel is the possibility of what's being described as a solidarity mission tour.
Mm-hmm.
Lipkin Tours has approached us with the possibility of organizing a solidarity mission with Israel. This would be a small tour, 6 nights, 7 days, 20 to 30 people only, and visiting a kibbutz down in the south. This would be an area that's been cleared by the IDF. It is now secure and safe. Also visiting the town of Sderot, which even before October 7th would come under periodic missile attack. People were always like 30 seconds away from a shelter and had to know when the siren goes. You just drop everything and run. Yeah. So the itinerary would include things like visiting Sderot, visiting one of the kibbutzim that was hit by Hamas. This to just bear witness and pay respect to those who fell, to see with your own eyes what actually took place. Visiting the site of the Nova Music Festival.
Yeah, that is exactly where this first attack happened and where those young people were attacked, were killed, or taken captive. And, of course, the Hamas terrorists, because that's what they are, spread out from there.
Yeah. There would also be a visit to Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, where the 136 who are still being held in Gaza are being remembered. The families are still sitting there, so a chance to visit with them. There would be a barbecue for soldiers on a military base, an IDF base, and more. This would all be based out of Jerusalem. You'd be staying in Jerusalem, which is far enough away that the missiles rarely reach that far.
Right. Jerusalem is pretty safe.
Yeah. So if this is something that you would be interested in, please let us know. You can send me an email, derek@gilberthouse.org, DEREK, derek@gilberthouse.org. Again, the cost would be not what you would pay for a normal tour where we'd go from north to south and cross over to Jordan. Be about $1,950 according to the email from Lipkin Tours.
That does not include airfare to and.
Correct. Yeah, that's the land package only. Does not include insurance if you want flights, lunch. It does include breakfast and dinner. But yes, it does not include flights to Tel Aviv. So,
by the way, the State Department removed the insurance requirement a couple of months ago. Prior to that, you had to have health insurance.
Okay.
Pay for that before you went over to Israel because they didn't want to pick up any COVID. Well, I've just said the word. Any related issues. Yes.
Well, anyway, this is a possibility. This would likely take place in May, June timeframe. So, again, this is a short notice sort of thing. But if you're interested, if you think this is something you'd like to do to visit and support Israel, not only to see what happened, but also to help their economy, because with 1 million people called up in the reserves right now, this is something that the Israeli government is really the Israeli economy is really struggling.
Absolutely. So if you're interested, please, Derek, DEREK, @gilberthouse.org.
Right.
Derek and I are willing to lead the tour, but we need to know that there are, there's a bus load, 20 so
yeah, 20 to 30. So it'd be a small group, not your typical 2 or 3 bus tour. So
no, and again, Lipkin Tours would never arrange this if they did not believe that you were going to be safe.
Yep. So, division in the country, I think being divided along, not just the
in the U.S., you mean?
In the U.S., yeah, not just along whether or not we support migrants coming in. I think a lot of it has to do with there are a lot of single issue voters in this country, and
yes,
don't care what his stance is or her stance is on anything else as long as they vote the right way on fill in the blank. And it is often euphemistically referred to as right to choose or gender identity.
That's not the only issue, though. I mean, some single issue have to do with border patrol and things like that.
Well, sure.
But yeah, the what you just named is one of the biggest ones. You have to sort of dance around that.
Yeah, try not to trigger algorithms and get us kicked off Mars Hill. Because there are some states where they're declaring themselves sanctuaries, not just for people who've entered the country illegally, but for people who want to identify as something other than their biology.
X or Y?
Yes.
That's binary.
XX or X. Yeah, I know.
XXXY.
Yeah. The state of Ohio, the legislature there just overruled Republican Governor Mike DeWine's veto of a bill that would ban surgeries for minors to essentially render them sterile and mutilated. So God bless the legislature, but what is Governor DeWine thinking? Well, anyway, setting that aside, I think that gets back to looking at the theopolitics. That gets back to Inanna and the idea of a gender fluidity that was never created by God. I mean, have you not read, created he them male and female? From the beginning created he them male and female.
Yeah, you're going to get us kicked off again. But yes, that is what, personally, I'd like to see bathroom doors that say XX and XY.
A lot of people are like, well,
I know.
What? I don't
Find
know.
the value of XX? Is that what is this an algebra problem?
I don't know what. I spent all my time in school making TikTok videos.
Speaking of TikTok videos, totally left turning. Some guy got, actually it was Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
Got banned for 30 days on Twitch because he stuck 2 forks into 2 toasters.
Yeah. Now, they weren't plugged in.
Well,
it was not
that's
clear in the
word.
video.
He pretended to be electrocuted.
Right.
And said that he had soiled himself. And they all thought, this is great. Watch the video over and over again. Too funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. First of all, that's not funny.
It's not funny.
And it's also not smart because you're going to get kids that try to do that for real.
Exactly, which is why Twitch kicked him off, and rightly so. There's a middle school in Graham, North Carolina, that has taken the mirrors out of the bathrooms, the restrooms in this middle school because kids kept cutting class to make TikTok videos in the mirrors. Like, okay, I'm old enough to remember that they took the doors off the stalls so guys wouldn't go in there and smoke, in high school, grammar school. Of course, the phones weren't a thing that long ago, but good grief.
They'll figure out a way to do them without. They'll just get someone else to film them.
Well, sure. And here's the thing. Other schools have now started adopting a policy of just, taking the phones. When you arrive at school, if you're spotted with a phone, the teacher will hold it till the end of the day.
Yep.
Do not, and they're finding that kids are actually talking to each other again.
There are a lot of reasons not to allow phones in bathrooms anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so take the phone.
Yeah. So anyway, the other thing is the economy here in the United States. We just another example of why my dad.
The weak economy?
Yes, the weak economy. Another example of my dad used to say, figures don't lie, but liars can figure.
Sometimes.
According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, it was reported on Friday that the U.S. gross domestic product in the fourth quarter of 2023 grew at a torrid.
Torrid?
Yeah, like that word, torrid?
Cup of trembling torridness?
Torrid, yes.
Torridity?
A torrid 3.3% pace, which was much higher than the consensus estimate of economists who thought the economy, the GDP growth would be around 2%.
Hold on. Who measured this?
Well, again,
liars can figure.
Bureau of Economic Analysis inside the Department of, Commerce Department, I guess. So 3.3%. This is great news, higher than the highest forecast coming out of Wall Street. And so the White House is doing a victory lap. Look at us. We're so great. The economy grew at 3.3% in the fourth quarter. This is so awesome. Look deeper. Look deeper. Figures don't lie, but liars can figure. Fourth quarter GDP rose by $329 billion to a total of $27.9 trillion. Wait a minute. No, that can't be right.
No, that can't be right. No.
Q4 GDP in nominal dollars.
Is this for the world?
Rose by $329 billion. It's got to be 2.8 trillion. That would make more sense. Anyway, it's according to the article I'm reading here from Zero Hedge, a respectable if made up number. Yeah, made up. Rose by $329 billion. But at the same time, the U.S. budget deficit rose by $510 billion. In other words, the growth in the federal budget deficit was 154% more than the increase in GDP. In other words, to grow the economy by $1 gross domestic product, it takes an additional $1.55 in federal government debt.
Yes. And the printing press in Washington.
Exactly. And if you add consumer debt, because we're putting a lot of things on cards these days, total $2.50 in debt to generate $1 in gross domestic product. This is unsustainable.
I am telling you that we are coming upon a world reset. And I'm not talking about the World Economic Forum's reset. In fact, they've backed away from that. They don't use that word anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They found us out. It's going to be this massive wiping of debt. And I think that's where we'll get into you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
Yeah.
Because suddenly you're not in debt.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're renting all your clothing. You're renting your transportation. You don't
There
own
are those
any
who rent clothing
real,
now.
Yeah. You don't own any real property, so your dwelling place is owned by someone else. They never say who owns all these things that we will not be owning.
Yeah, someone will own them.
Someone will own them.
And they'll be happy.
Yeah, happier.
Well, happier than we are?
Yes, I think that's the whole point. They never specify in the World Economic Forum's predictions. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Yeah, somebody's got to own these things, though. Who are you renting them from? The owner. Who's the owner? They never say. The only thing that's sure is that it's not us.
Well, let's look at a few things here at the We Forum.
Oh, the other thing I want to point out is that when you're looking at numbers and digging deeper into the numbers and not just the nominal surface level, hey, gross domestic product up 3.3%. Yeah, except federal deficit went up even further and people are more in debt now than they ever were. So that gross domestic product increase is smoke and mirrors. Since 2019, when you look at the number of employed people here in the United States and you break it down by native-born Americans versus foreign-born Americans, the growth in employment since 2019, since just before COVID, the growth in employed workers is all among foreign-born workers. There are fewer native-born workers working today than there were in 2019, but more than 3 million more foreign-born workers.
Define employed.
Well, good question. We assume that we know what the word means. Full-time employed, part-time employed, I don't know. Doesn't say.
Are these gig workers? Are these people driving Uber cars?
Yeah, don't know.
Are these people that are working on farms?
That's a really good question because, again, this is
self-employed.
President Biden tweeting out through the POTUS account at X. Today, we learned our economy grew 3.1% last year. Again, that number.
They're throwing darts at a board and coming up with numbers.
All while adding another 2.7 million jobs. Yeah, again, 2.7 million jobs, but it's because you've got 3 million foreign-born workers who are working, and you've got 1.3 million fewer native-born workers working than back in 2019.
They're handing a little card to everybody that comes in across the border and saying, here, you're now employed. You're employed. You're now employed. Thanks. Congratulations. You're employed. As what? As a, we'll tell you later.
Yeah. Just show up for your hearing in 3 years. The social safety net that is providing for a lot of these people who are showing up in our cities and are now being in California, they get free health care. It came out within the last couple of weeks that veterans, the VA, which is a medical system designed to benefit
system.
It is a broken system, and it's even more broken because they're diverting resources from treating American military veterans and treating illegal migrants. They're using the VA system to treat illegal migrants.
Yeah, I know. They shouldn't be.
Again, this is all being funded by debt. So what's happening is the federal government will go out and sell more treasuries, and they print more money. It is a wealth transfer from those who are investing in treasuries and those who are paying tax dollars to those who are providing the goods and services being given away.
Yes, but let me jump in here. The U.S. isn't the only country doing that very thing.
That is very true.
It's a worldwide problem.
Yeah.
First world nations are all doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angela Merkel. Remember when Angela Merkel came along to the EU and she said when she was heading up Germany, she said, everybody has to take in at least 1 million migrants.
And Hungary, Viktor Orban said, oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think I will be doing that.
Hold my stein.
Well, if you look at the We Forum, which is the worldeconomicforum.org, weforum.org, they've got a number of takeaway pages on here. What are you looking at?
Just looking at the time on the clock over here.
Oh, well,
I just had to squint because, it's got
I
these
know,
progressive lenses and I
yeah.
couldn't find the sweet spot in the eyes.
You need conservative lenses. What are you doing?
Transitions,
I know.
progressives.
I
yeah,
just wear
yeah.
readers. There is one page that is called The Key Takeaways Regarding the Future of Cities.
Mm.
Now, there are only a few takeaways on here, but one has to do with the talk about the power and risk of AI.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to be that AI is being used almost like pandemic preparedness. You have to prepare for AI to be useful but not dangerous. That's going
Okay.
on here in the U.S. It's going on in the U.K. and the EU. It's everywhere. They're all looking at AI. It's really dangerous, but we can control it.
Like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy listing for Earth, mostly harmless.
Mostly harmless. Think locally, act globally.
Uh-huh.
That's for cities. Think locally, act globally. So that explains why we have a lot of mayors who think that they can get involved in foreign policy.
Yeah, yeah.
But the other thing that it gets into, it actually has a section I highly recommend going to, weforum.org, AI and emerging tech at Davos. And another one, and this is an important one, what's the state of health and healthcare? And here's what we discussed about it at Davos. 50 countries contributed planes and personnel and important VIP folks. Sorry, that's redundant.
Mm-hmm.
VIPs, less important, not so important VIPs, less important. I'm seeing this greater than, less than, equal to.
LIPs, yeah.
LIPs, yeah. LNPs,
NIPs.
RSVPs.
Yeah.
We're all there.
LSMFTs.
Yeah, everybody was there deciding on your future
Mm-hmm.
and mine.
And it is ironic that the World Economic Forum meeting, which was last week, not this past week, just concluded, but last week in Davos, their theme was rebuilding trust, because they recognize that we don't trust them anymore.
That's why they're not using reset anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, those conspiracy theorists have taken and ruined the term Great Resets. We can't use that anymore. We now use...
We had a great logo for that.
We need to change, yeah. We need to change to new narrative or something. Well, this is ironic when you've got people who are lecturing us on the threat posed by climate change. We need to, and they're flying private jets to Switzerland to tell us why the rest of us need to. And you better believe that the insect protein they want the rest of us to consume was not on the menu at Davos.
Well, that was one of the things that's discussed in the World Health Problem. How do we make sure that people are eating good, high nutritious food? It is very much a nanny state system that they want to build. And this is all part, it's just one of the planks in Inanna's platform.
Yeah. She controls the MES, every aspect of human civilization. And that is what the World Economic Forum wants.
Yeah, MES, in case you do not know what the MES is. It's all of the recipes, the guidebook for creating civilization.
Right. Everything from be nice to your neighbor to
make beer.
How to make beer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a Sumerian concept. And Inanna stole those from Enki, who was the lord of the abyss, who sent forth the Apkallu, who were the Mesopotamian concept of the Watchers, to deliver the MES to humanity. Sort of like the Watchers on Mount Hermon, delivering to humanity all the stuff we weren't supposed to know, like witchcraft and how to make weapons and stuff like that. Oh, Grace was looking very relaxed over there.
It's going to fall off her bed.
Yeah. Yeah, this is so boring. I'm just going to roll over here. So the World Economic Forum, I think they recognize that we are on to them, which is why they're trying to change their terminology. But we're wrestling with the concept of disease X. We talked about that last week's program. Of course, climate change will be the next.
There is no disease called disease X.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a placeholder designation for what is going to be the next pandemic.
Right.
And trust me, one is coming. I don't know what, but one is coming.
And between the WEF and the WHO, they want to control everything, including the information that we get about it, just as they tried to do during the most recent scare, so that we are not given full information.
Right.
There are stories coming out now about how other organizations like the Centers for Disease Control, even though they knew that information that was being suppressed was accurate, it might convince people to not follow their instructions. And so they labeled it as misinformation, even though the information was peer-reviewed and accurate.
Yeah, I'm going to be giving a presentation for the Skywatch TV, the Defender Conference. And it's tentatively titled The Real Armageddon Strain. And that's the name. Armageddon Strain is a book, a novel I wrote many years ago. And I'm actually going to be talking about what's actually the fulfillment of that novel. I wish that it had not been. Isn't she cute? I know. Got a little.
Yeah, I got to get a picture of her
paw.
Yeah. Got her face covered with her paw. Like, oh, this is too awful.
This is just the worst ever. I'm going to block it out.
Check the show notes. I'll stick that on as a picture. Grace listening to us as we broadcast.
By the way, if you are listening to this and thinking, boy, Sharon's voice is huskier than it normally is, I've got postnasal drip that is so bad right now.
We've got a long growing season here in the Ozarks, and it's really weird that the postnasal drip is still continuing. I've been dealing with it too, because we just had a week ago, we just had several days in a row of below zero temperatures.
I know. I'm not really sure what is going on that's setting it off, but I'm not the only one. There are a lot of people talking about allergies right now.
Well, Grace says it's not me. You're not allergic to dogs.
No, actually, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
But
there must be a cat somewhere.
One of the things one of the things that's most ironic about the World Economic Forum and its initiatives, these the Bond central casting villain, Klaus Schwab. Yeah, all he needs is like a silky white cat to, leading this organization wants to tell us how we're supposed to live. They want to push us all into sustainable 15-minute cities where we live a 15-minute walk or bicycle ride from everything that we need. They want us all to get rid of internal combustion engines, even though when that recent storm went through Chicago, the very cold weather up there left charging stations filled with Teslas that couldn't move because it was too cold for their batteries to charge. Here in rural America, electric vehicles are just completely impractical. They are just completely impractical. I can tell you, I have not seen but one Tesla here in the Ozarks since we moved here, and that was up in Springfield, where there are some charging stations. But you get outside the Springfield Metro, and electric vehicles are just a waste. But they showed us during the last round of lockdowns that we don't need to live in cities anymore because they told us all to stay home. It's like, hey, if I can work remotely, why am I living in this expensive, crime-ridden city instead of somewhere else?
That actually works to their advantage. I know. They want everybody in cities so they can control them better. But if you control people at home, they don't need to be in a city.
Except that we still have to drive around to get places. And part of their push to get us into cities is to get us away from vehicles.
I realize that. I do realize
eliminate our mobility.
You don't need a vehicle at all if you just get to stay home. The only vehicles required are those that deliver things to your door. Get that? I have found a paper at weforum.org that I think is really, that title and the content just cracks me up. I've talked many times about the perpetual motion printing machine when it comes to economics.
Right, yeah.
Keynesian economics requires a perpetual motion economic device of some kind. The more you spend, the more you have.
Right.
That's perpetual motion.
We just spend the money into existence. Yeah.
The title of this is Circular Transformation of Industries.
Okay.
Unveiling the transformative potential of circularity in industry.
Circularity.
By examining 3 distinct archetypes of circular value creation, this paper offers valuable insights into collaborative approaches that facilitate the exchange of knowledge, information, and circular material and products. Real-life examples serve as an inspiration to encourage executives to explore the power of partnerships. Partnerships. This idea has been around for a long time. Who are they partnering with? And this is for industry peers, competitors, and value chain stakeholders. stakeholders. Value chain, not supply chain.
Yeah.
Value chain stakeholders.
Basically, this is a way of making recycling or shopping at like the Goodwill sound really exciting.
Mm-hmm. They don't even call it recycling now. They call it upcycling.
Yeah. Circularity.
Yes.
So you'll own nothing, and the stuff that you're renting will be used, but it'll be even better.
It's a snake eating its tail.
Ouroboros.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, in response to all of this, corporate media freaking out just a little bit as a venture fund based in Kentucky has announced it is planning to develop rural communities in Appalachia.
Oh, yeah, you talked about that with me last week.
Yeah, this is something called the Highland Rim Project, a venture fund called New Founding.
This is an area where my folks grew up.
Yes,
I got cousins down there.
The Eastern Highland Rim, which is the hill country of central Tennessee and southeast Kentucky. The Highland Rim Project wants to develop rural towns and communities in the bucolic hills of the Eastern Highland Rim because, as they point out, people discovered during the lockdowns that they don't need to live in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, et cetera, because they're too expensive, they're too dangerous. And, oh, by the way, they're also food deserts. So imagine you can conceive of food deserts in a country that's suffering a pandemic of obesity, but that's the claim. But it's because in a lot of cities, retailers are just pulling out because all their product or profit is walking out the front door because the district attorneys won't prosecute organized retail theft.
Right. Well,
so,
here's the thing. Most of these small towns, and that's usually what's in that region, small towns, they've almost all of them got a dollar store.
Yeah.
The problem with any store, doesn't matter who owns it, is supply chain. Not value chain.
Supply chain.
Supply chain.
Correct.
It's generally a 3-day window. And once the 3 days is gone, whatever emergency extends past 3 days, no more food, no more supply.
Right. Well, if you got people who are living more independently in rural areas where you're growing some of your own or just stockpiling more because you can't depend on the 3-day supply chain, I mean, the kind of preparedness that we are trying to rediscover here in 21st century America is what our great-grandparents, our grandparents called life. When my grandparents in the middle of North Dakota, were coming into the winter season, they knew they had to have a couple of freezers full of stuff because you might go days before the snow got, allowed stuff to get through.
I know. Look, I'm raising my hand because you always, when you talk about this, because you didn't experience it, this is how I grew up.
Yeah, I know. I grew up in a city.
Parents, grandparents, nothing. This is how I grew up. We had a huge garden. We canned food. Dad would go out during the summer or during the hunting season. He would get deer. He would get squirrel. He would get rabbits, whatever he could. We would slaughter pigs. We would kill chickens. And we had freezers full of food. We provided for ourselves.
Yep. Well, that wasn't a thing in Chicago.
I know. I realize that. It's just, I laugh because I'm thinking, boy, you really didn't. That's exactly what I grew up with. It was normal. Yeah. That needs to become normal again.
It does. It does. But the World Economic Forum doesn't want that because if we are not dependent on the supply chain, which means on them, then we are not as pliable. We are not compliant.
Yeah.
So,
well, I don't want to be compliant. Not with the World Economic Forum.
Comply with our king.
Yes. We are part of a kingdom. That's the takeaway here. All of these things, yes, they're important to know because PID radio stands for Peering into Darkness, looking into a glass darkly, trying to understand the spirit realm.
Yep.
That's what that's talking about.
Right.
Trying to understand the spirit realm, the good and the bad. Hi, Grace.
Grace has emerged from under the desk.
Must be time.
Yes, getting close to the 1 hour mark.
But the bottom line is we're part of a kingdom.
Yeah. And our mission is very simple. Make disciples of all nations and baptize them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Exactly.
Declaration of victory over the prisoners in the abyss.
Exactly. Yeah. And one way to reach those prisoners is to answer the questions they ask.
Yeah.
And it may not be a question that you know the answer to right now. So try to find it out. Some of those questions are ghosts real? I've heard about UFOs. Are those things real? Should I be taking these drugs? I don't have any money. What do I do? Yeah. There are life questions that are esoteric. Some are not. Some are very material and basic. our Lord met the basic needs, and then he preached.
Yep. Yeah. And sadly, a lot of liberal theology ignores the fact that one of the things he kept preaching most often was repent, for the kingdom of heaven is near.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And it is we live within that unseen kingdom. The king is coming back.
Yeah. None of us is right. There is none righteous, no, not one. But we are covered by his blood.
Amen. Praise the Lord for that.
We are thankful for his sacrifice.
We are indeed. Well, tomorrow morning we're going to have, of course, the Gilbert House Fellowship. And tomorrow night,
Dr. Timothy Furnish talks about Islam and Armageddon, sort of.
An important program.
Yeah. He understands Islamic eschatology and Islamic theology, so he can break down the difference between Sunni and Shia, and then inside those groups.
He has a PhD in Islamic
eschatology, right. So he is one to listen to, and that'll be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time on at vftb.net, but also on our app and our Roku channel and our Apple TV channel.
Download the app. That's the bottom line. Download the app.
Until next time, I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert, and for Grace Gilbert. Bye-bye, everybody.
PID Radio is produced by Gilbert House and released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Follow us online, Twitter @PID Radio, or the PID Radio page at Facebook. Join us each week for our online Bible study, the Gilbert House Fellowship, online at gilberthouse.org.